Hi, Tej.
Hello, Sandi.
Welcome to the show.
What's your full name again, Sandi? What?
My full name is Sandeep Olek.
Sandeep. That's it. There we go. Sandeepa?
This is getting so good already. What's your full name, actually?
Gurtej.
Gurtej Singh.
Everyone thinks Tejinder or Tejpal.
Yeah, yeah.
But my name's not very common though. I don't know anyone else called.
Yeah, Gurtej is a really nice name. And you know what I like? I like it when someone like says their name in full. And I know in India that we're actually taught this, that when someone asks your name, you say your full name, like, I am Gurtej Singh.
Yeah.
And the other day I met someone at the gym. So the gym I go to in East London, you never see anyone like Sikh or a Singh or anyone like that. So for the first time in 7 months, I saw a Singh and I was like, I just had to say hello. I was like, hey, I just wanted to say hello. Like, how's it going? And I just said, what's your name? And the first thing he said, like, he put down his weights and he was like, I am, should I say his name?
If you want.
I am Anup Singh. And I was like, wow. Like, just the way he said it.
There's
like,
weight in it, huh?
So beautiful. Our names are so beautiful.
I agree, they are.
Yeah, maybe I should
And they
use
come here and
mine.
get destroyed. Anyways.
They come here and they get destroyed. That's so true. But listen, it's really good to have you on here. I haven't seen you in a really long time.
Where have you been? Traveling the world, gallivanting on boats with your backpack and
I have, and I'm sorry that I missed your birthday. How was your happy belated birthday? How
Thank
was
you.
it?
Also missed my wedding.
I missed your wedding.
Because you were abroad. The birthday was really good. You would have enjoyed it. It was good vibes, just like chilled, lots of food. Everyone, the boys obviously ate everything as usual.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure
it was a
you
good
were
vibe.
one
It
of
was
those.
chilled, yeah.
I promise next time to be present for one of your big events.
Oh,
I
wow.
promise. I really will.
Thank you.
But this is a great excuse for us to actually catch up.
100%.
And I am really excited because like you're also a Gemini.
I am. It's dangerous.
And I'm also a Gemini. And I know one similarity that we have is that we love a lot of things. Like we have passion for so many different things. And it can be really exciting. It can also be exhausting. But coming across a fellow Gemini really helps because you understand that. Otherwise, you come across people who mostly say, whether it's on an educational kind of platform or in terms of business or even life, that you need to focus, that you need to niche. That's like such a popular thing with branding. And we're going to go into that as well. So you managed to successfully have various interests, such as, and I digged into your LinkedIn, by the way.
Oh, wow. Oh, dear. It's like a job interview.
You're very successful at being in talent acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
You love to dance. I love this one. You love to dance. And so you're not just good at dancing, you're amazing at dancing. You were in a few Bhangra showdowns.
Yeah, I was,
You were the best male dancer.
Second best.
Oh, maybe I need to reframe this question. How does it feel to be second best? No, I'm joking. That's still such an amazing award amongst like so many other dancers. And even the Bhangra Showdown, there's how many dancers are there? Like
Probably like 16 a team times 8.
yeah, so that's quite
A lot.
yeah, that's pretty good. And then also, you know, on your property investment journey, in the first 9 months,
Yep.
you bought 15 properties. You secured over 900,000 in private finance. You're a property mentor. You've written a book, 2 books.
2 books. This girl's meant to be my friend. Not even just a random host, but she's meant to be my friend.
You know your friends and family keep you grounded.
Yeah, this is true.
You've written 2 books. Congratulations on recently buying a business.
Thank you.
You're in M&A now.
I am.
So, and I'm 100% sure you have more acquisitions in the pipeline.
Getting there.
So my question is, how are you so successful at so many different things?
I think sometimes you have to play to your strengths. And lately I've been realizing, and I know you and me have spoken about this, how bad I am at focusing on one thing. Now I mean that on a niche level. When I'm at home and I've got 5 tasks, I'm kind of like, let me do 20% of that one, 10% of that one, and then 20% of this. And I'm like, I've realized that this kind of isn't working necessarily at the moment. However, because I can do it and I've done it for so long and I'm good at it, I suppose playing to my strengths is doing so many things at once. Because if I didn't, I'd be bored. I probably wouldn't enjoy it as much. I probably wouldn't achieve as much. And you might say, well, Tej, if you focused on something, maybe you would. Maybe. But the way my mind works is I need to kind of do something for 3 hours, have a break, and then do something else another 2 hours, and then come back, and then do something. You know, that's just how my mind works, for better or worse. So for me, I think by playing to my strengths and playing to something that I suppose I've always naturally done and no one's ever stopped, again, for good or bad, that allowed me to do so many things at once. But don't get it wrong, within each one there was moments, when I say moments, I mean hours, days, whatever it is, weeks of concentration, of focus, of, with property, sitting on Rightmove for 4 hours a day, like so boring, so dull. But I had to do it in order to do that. Having meetings every other day with potential investors, half of them broken, got nothing, not going to invest. But I'm still doing that and putting that focus in to achieve the bigger goal. So I think it's playing to my strengths, being who I am, being the Gemini with multiple faces, personalities, whatever you want to say it is. And then, but also focusing within each niche to kind of get to where you think or I think I'm successful.
It's almost like you are a generalist, but you know when you need to be a specialist and kind of focus for a few hours at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Have you implemented systems that have helped you do this? Because when I think about myself, I'm also a generalist, but I actually want to get tips from you on how to use this to my strength, because I will be excited about multiple projects at the same time. But for me, it can be quite exhausting, and I can find like I'll pick up one thing and then another thing, but I'm not getting very far with them. Is there any advice that you can give to someone like me and other people that have the same problem?
Yeah, so I think you have to think about entry requirements. So you've got all these entry requirements and also the return on investment. Now, because I lack empathy, something you talk about, I just see things as logical. So I'm like, okay, say we've got 4 different projects we're excited about. If I know 2 of them, yeah, they're cool. They're all cool, but they're probably not going to return what I want from it, or I think that's going to be a waste, or the market's not ready for that, or I haven't got the time or want to do that. You're dead. That's not happening.
Okay, so you're not holding emotional attachment to any of these projects that I've named so far, or things that you do in your life. Does that include dance? No,
so dance is probably the only thing that is emotional now, but when I was doing it regimented, and it was proper disty training, man. You get there at like 8 o'clock, no one's there till 9, you're there till midnight, you can't drink water because in Punjab they don't drink water when they do bhangra. It's like proper like desi mentality. But even despite that, because it was annoying when you're trying to live life and eat dinner, like you have to kind of focus in on, like I just focused in on, okay, I'm dancing from these hours for this point, for this result, but I'm also going to enjoy it. But I'm not going to enjoy it if I'm shit. So therefore, I need to put in 7 hours a day, whatever, to do it well, to enjoy it. Now it's for leisure. Now it's when we go out. Now it's just pure emotion, pure joy, pure energy release, pure being on a higher level even with the music. So it's different for dancing for sure.
And that's changed for you now that it's not regimented.
Now that it's not regimented, I can just it's more of a creative expression.
Okay.
But also another thing is like when it comes to niche focus, so like day to day, you need to find something that works for you. Whether it's like the Pomodoro technique, using the timer, whether it's blocking things out in your calendar, literally like almost like get ready to leave house. Meeting at this time, like every little thing. If you schedule it in, I don't know. If we have a competitive nature in us as humans, it kind of wants to. Oh shit! I've got 30 minutes. Do that task. Do it. So that really helps. Music helps. Isolation from your own thoughts helps as well. Trying to get deep work. And that's a really good book called Deep Work.
I'm still trying to find the right productivity hack for me. I know you've got some YouTube videos.
I do have YouTube video on 5 productivity hacks. But
so maybe
remember,
we'll link them in the show notes.
Thank you. Remember, hacks are just hacks. Like it really just comes down to, do you want it enough? And will you do this task to get it? Now, if you won't, okay, the business fails, or you find someone to do it for you.
I understand what you're saying with do you want it bad enough and are you willing to do the work? For me, I've also learned that sometimes, and speaking to other life coaches, I've learned that sometimes there can be like self-sabotage associated with it.
Yes.
Where you want something, but you don't want to try because of the fear of failure. So I do feel like there are a few other things associated. Another thing I did want to highlight, and I'm only starting to learn about this now, is that some people have various neurodivergencies. And I've tried so many different productivity things, Pomodoro and all that kind of stuff. And I try what all the best people are doing. And then I realized that, well, I'm still waiting to find out that I have a bit of ADHD. And then once I've started to research productivity hacks for people with ADHD, it seems to make so much more sense to me. So I personally feel like anyone that is struggling with their productivity should just really take a look at themselves and their learning style and try and adapt it to that. And it's really funny that you said like the whole tick list. Like today I was like, okay, I cannot be late for this podcast, obviously. And I had a few things to do today, and I literally had to do like a list like that with all the tick boxes. And this is a problem that I have, and maybe other people with ADHD will get this. I only needed to put 3 things on that list, but look, I added so many more.
And there's a lot of empty checkboxes.
Yeah, because I get, maybe it's a Gemini thing again, I get really excited and really optimistic about what I can do in a day. And I'm like, it's like I go David Goggins on myself. I'm like, this, boom, 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 boom. And then when you don't tick it off, you feel disappointed, but you've set unrealistic targets.
Yes.
So, I think there's a lot to be said for productivity and just really understanding yourself. And when you keep making the same mistake again and again, i.e. not pursuing a project or following through, just sitting down with understanding, why are you doing that? Do you even want to do that project? Or is it the fear of failure? Like, what is it? Diving deep into it.
And you can always outsource. You can always find someone and somewhere in the world who will do a task that you hate and they love it and they're an expert at it, and it will cost way less than your hourly rate. So any task I don't like doing now, I said to my accountant, can you do it? I don't want to do that. I could do it, but I'm just like, life's too short. I'm not here to do payroll. You do that. I'm gonna be on Canva designing shit. Y'all carry on.
It makes sense, especially in business. If you can outsource. But those maybe who don't have the funds need to sit back and take inventory of all the things that they're wanting to do, and maybe like you need to move things back to a different month in the year. What were you like as a child? And what about your childhood has shaped you into the Tej sitting in front of me now?
Well, if you were at my birthday party, you could have asked my parents and my sister. I was an angry child. I was not an extrovert. Yeah, I was not an extrovert as I am now. I was not social as I am now.
I'm shocked.
You know what? Some people are shocked, 50-50. Some people are shocked and some people are like, yeah, I can see it in your eyes. Like when I beef people nowadays, or when I have legal fights, should we say, it maybe is a little bit visible. But yeah, I was totally antisocial. My parents divorced in 2002, so quite a while ago now.
Yeah.
That's obviously why, that shaped me massively. I don't know how necessarily or in which way, but that definitely made me like an angry child, fighting all the time. Like my mum, who's a head teacher at a different school, would always get called in, like, he's broken something, he's doing this, he's doing that. My friends will always say, remember when you did this? And I'm like, maybe. I'm like, you probably deserved it. So I think as a child, I was very sort of introverted. I think maybe it's the right word.
But was this, because you said you were really angry, like post the divorce, were you introverted and angry before as well?
I can't remember.
You can't remember?
Like, I say to people, do you remember, like, when you were from 0 years old to this year? And I don't know, like, I just don't really remember much. And that could be the divorce blocking that out, right?
It could
like,
be, yeah.
I don't know.
Our mind has ways to protect us from trauma, and it blocks out the things that we don't want to process.
Exactly, which is probably exactly it. And that then came out as anger, as an because I think that's quite an emotive, powerful emotion that can convey something. And I think it can be useful. But I think when it becomes rage and when it becomes not controlled or not used correctly, it's a problem. You know, I think we should be allowed to express it, but there's a difference. So yeah, but I was always studying.
Wow.
Actually, no. Okay, shout out my mum. I wasn't studying. I was just like, oh, it's fine. I'll pass in it, bro. Just let me play Call of Duty. Yeah. My mum goes, cool. Do your thing, innit?
Yeah.
I did it. I got a C. And I was like, Mum, why'd I get a C for? It's your fault. She's
okay,
like,
good. I thought you were going to say for a second, you were one of those annoying people that don't study.
No.
And then do really well.
I have to. And she was like, okay, you did it your way. You got a C, yeah? You're doing it my way now. And what happened? All A's. And I was like,
wow. What was your mum's way, by the way? No Call of Duty?
No, well, much more reduced Call of Duty. Actually studying, regimented, you know, timescales. Just putting some real systems and structures. Simply put, that was it. And it worked. Okay. And then since then, I really enjoyed studying and I really enjoyed science.
Wow. So it's almost like you started to see the fruits of your labour once your mum told you how to study.
100%.
And you just enjoyed that.
Yeah, and I think it gave me something to do or feel recognised by within myself maybe, because I wasn't social. So I was like, I like PlayStation and Call of Duty, but maybe the studying just put another dimension onto my personality, which I didn't have.
Yeah.
And allowed me to focus my energy in something that was interesting and rewarding, which was mainly science at the time.
Yeah, and it's kind of like getting a good dopamine hit from the success of your education.
Yeah.
Science. You also studied at uni, was it biomedical?
Biochemistry. Again, people, my friend. Yeah, my friend.
Listen, I'm just checking that you're really paying attention.
I remember what I studied for 3 years. Yeah,
so you're not doing anything in science right now, are you?
No, I do use the analytical skills and the evidence-based behavior from it though.
Is that what you love about science?
Yes.
Okay.
I also just love, the intricacies of learning that me talking to you right now, there's myosin cells, there's muscle cells that are contracting, there's serotonin, if you're making me happy, it might become other hormones if you annoy me, that are kind of moving around, and everything I'm doing and saying comes from these tiny cells and reactions that we'll never see without a microscope. And it's how does all of that, how does this mush up here? It's just, there's so many layers to biochemistry, and I still love it. I still read books about it. Tell
me another fact, because I've never heard you talk about science. Firstly, you're just like lighted up.
I'm lit.
You're lit. But also, it's so like, that blows my mind as well, because so much in our body just happens automatically and we take it for granted. Like digestion, everything, our immune system. But it is actually so fascinating, and what you just said. So I would love if you could share another fact.
More science facts.
Okay, we need a science episode.
Okay. I'll give you one that maybe more recent you might have heard of, but there's a lot of research lately into the gut and how the gut has, I think it has the same number or slightly less, slightly more neurons than your brain.
Yeah.
You might look at think, well, hold on, this is the thinking center. Why is our gut so evolved to be the second brain? And it kind of speaks to a lot of like gut feeling and why people feel anxious. They feel in the pit of their stomach.
Yeah.
Lots of things that are like colloquial, and we just thought, I feel something there. It's like, hold on a minute, is this thinking?
Yeah.
Because it can be the first line for our immune system if we've eaten something. It can, it's not just that the brain sends messages to the gut sends messages back up.
Yeah.
So why is this such a receptive organ or system as such? And it's not a fact, I suppose, because it's still being researched, but I think a lot more people now are taking into consideration their gut health and looking at probiotics and tests and things like that, because it's important. How, like, could we explain certain mental health conditions from our gut microbiome? So far, the answer is, potentially we could. Like, how crazy is that?
Yeah, and I was listening to a podcast recently about ADHD, and they said in kids, one of the ways that you can curb it is with sugar. The more sugar you eat, the more it kind of aggravates it. And I think that's really fascinating, because the first port of call usually is medication.
Of course, in the West, pop pills.
Straight away. And it's not, what do they say? It's not, you aren't what you eat, you're what you digest. And I don't know if have you come across Ayurveda, the Indian science? How much do you know about it? Have you had your body diagnosis and everything?
I haven't, but I do want to be fair. I prefer it probably to Western.
It's so good. For the longest time, whenever I'd have problems, I'd go to Western medicine, to the GPs, and they just give you medication. Yep. Because obviously that's how they're taught. So, that's what they're going to do.
And there's money behind it as well.
There's money behind it. And then obviously with Ayurveda, I still don't understand the science. They call it a life science, but it really understands your body as a whole, as the 5 elements that you're made of, the fire, water, air, earth, space. And when you're born, you have a certain makeup of a certain ratio of those elements. And when those elements are off balance, so for example, part of my body formation is pitta. Pitta is fire. And that's great. That means that I can be really on top of things. I can get things done. If I'm on a building site, I can, builders, I can get them in check. But if it's imbalanced, your fire is imbalanced, you can get very angry very quickly. You can get very emotional very quickly. It can manifest as eczema, or eczema as you call it, on the skin. But when I went to the GP for eczema, they just give you steroids to put on your skin.
And steroids make things worse in the long run.
They make them worse. Yeah. But now that I understand Ayurveda a little bit more, I know that, okay, my eczema's fired up. It must be because of my digestion or my stresses. So it's just such a holistic...
Just put haldi on it, it's fine.
Yeah, just put haldi on. Golden milk, come on. Golden milk. Our parents used to tell us all the time, have haldi milk. And we said, ew. And now we pay £6 for haldi milk.
Oh my God, literally in the little things. It's ridiculous. Now the West has discovered our secret. But you're right, Western medicine isn't holistic. Whereas Eastern medicine looks at everything, head to toe. It looks at how is it all connected. Now Western medicine's getting there.
Yeah.
But where's the money in it?
Honestly, one of the most incredible things that I think about medicine from the East is how accessible it is and how inclusive it is. There was, I read about a scientist in a book, an Indian scientist, and he had all these plants and all these like remedies, and someone came to him from the Western world and said, why are you not selling these? Why patent this? You need to patent this. And he said, like, I'm getting goosebumps. He said, my life's work and our life's work is when you uncover something, it should not be patented. It shouldn't be exclusive. It should be made available, especially medicine. It should be made available as open so that other people can build on it and have the benefit of this medicine. But obviously in the Western world,
Nope.
you patent things straight away.
You have to. Someone else will if you don't, right?
Yeah.
It's dog eat dog.
Yeah, but as I'm saying this, there's actually like something else that conflicts this when we talk about open source and things being available. AI. So I listened to the podcast with Mo Gauda and Stephen Bartlett.
Mo DM'd you, didn't
Mo
he?
Gauda
See,
DM'd me.
they're sliding in. This is before the podcast.
Yeah, Mo Gauda, if you're watching this,
he's great, isn't he?
you're one of my greatest idols. You're incredible. Please come on my podcast. But I believe in divine timing, so
Make it happen.
yeah. In that he says it's too late. Like they made AI available as open source, which means anyone can access it. Any like 16-year-old kid in the garage can like be working on AI. And he said maybe it should not have been made available as open source because it's like it can be dangerous in the wrong people's hands. So in that respect, I'm like, maybe, yes, you should regulate what is available.
Who regulates it and who's the wrong people? Because the West say East are the wrong people, the East say West are the wrong people.
How do you know what's right or wrong?
You don't. It's
just
based on your
don't.
bias, your culture, your upbringing, your everything.
Yeah.
Like I would say, out of the East or West, who should have control of things? I wouldn't say America, but an American would say, no, we should have it where the blah, blah, blah. And
Who decides who has control?
well, the person with the most money and the most power. Simple as that, right?
Yeah, and the person with the most money and most power is not necessarily a person with good intentions.
Or representative.
But with the AI thing, something that I've also like said for a long time, and I actually got this from Hindu mythology. I don't know if you've ever read like Hindu mythology
I haven't.
genre books. They are so good. I don't read a lot of books because I struggle with focusing, but I've read a few books by this author called Amit Tripathi, and he has insane books, and they're based loosely on characters like Shiva or Ravan and all these characters, but then he takes it into this like fantasy world, and it's just so fascinating because he weaves in like stories and morals and ethics in a way that really like I connect to. Anyway, so in one of his books, it's about Shiva, and it talks about battles that happen in the world in the history of mankind. All the battles, why do they happen? And it talks about evolution, and in order for evolution to happen, there needs to be something bad, because when there's some bad in the world, that gives motivation for good to uprise and find a solution for bad. And when it conquers the bad, you have an evolution. Otherwise you're here. So it's just, it gives you a reason for evolution. So then with the AI thing, I did think, okay, this doesn't seem like it's good, because obviously a lot of negative impacts can come off of AI, deep fake, all that kind of stuff. But I do think that if we are so worried about it, we need to just get the people with the good intentions need to be involved. You can't just close your eyes and say, I don't want to think about it. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Evolution is going to happen. Technical evolution is going to happen whether you like it or not. So do you want to be involved when they're making robotics and all these kind of things, or do you want to just keep your eyes closed? That's what I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's like with any injustice or anything that needs regulation or change, it's we all have a choice, which is we get involved, we let it be, or but we watch it, or we do nothing at all.
Yeah.
So I think with AI, it is important for the people who have the power, the knowledge, which in this space, money can buy knowledge, but if you have the knowledge to do something about regulating it, because I listened to that podcast as well, and a few others on AI, and it could get very scary very quickly.
Yeah.
Especially with some of the examples of what AI or machine learning algorithms are doing already, and how they're kind of making their own languages, or kind of not Terminator yet, but I think they're doing things that is going to need some form of regulation. However, again, people are going to want to regulate in different ways. The military are going to say, well, hold on, we can use this for this. Schools are going to say, oh, we can use it for this. And then doctors will say, we can. So it's kind of like, how on earth do you regulate something that's so in the future when our politicians probably can't even use the iPhones they use because they're dinosaurs. Like
Yeah.
they can't even regulate, you know, the internet stuff that was invented 10 years ago.
They can't
So
regulate.
who's going to
even
regulate
crypto.
that? Elon Musk? Like
Yeah.
people like that? Like, I don't know. It's, you know, who's going to regulate it? They need the knowledge as well.
Yeah.
And the government never has it.
I think there just has to be like a quantum shift and like a whole different party of people to regulate.
Yeah.
But who are they going to be? Who knows? Time will tell. But I just think that these discussions need to be had. And people who are coders and programmers, there's no shortage of jobs. If you know something's ethically wrong, just move to the next one. There's so many people bidding for you to work for them.
1,000,000%.
So I think it starts from there. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your pivot to self-development in your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So before it was all about property.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I found you.
Yeah,
Yes.
3-4 years ago.
Yes.
Nice.
Love your podcast. I love your matter-of-fact approach. Firstly, does that ever get you in trouble? Because you are very direct, and I know you end up having, a little bit of fights, a bit of beef with some of your like people that work for you and stuff. Does it ever get you in trouble?
Yeah, all the time. Mainly with my wife. I think it gets me in trouble because people, maybe it's a British culture thing as well, but people don't, even though I feel like we're quite direct in England, but compared to like America, people don't like directness. Now, Sandi, you and me when we text, yeah? I don't remember the last time we really said to each other, hello, how are you? We just say, we're straight into it.
Yeah,
we're
but
doing this.
that's true. But I actually reflect you because you're very like, yes, no, duh. So I as an empath, I automatically, I just kind of like reflect you and I'm like, okay, yes. Like I just become mold into your style. Yeah. I'm not that matter of fact. I am direct, but I'm not that matter of fact.
But this is what I struggle with because some people are not empaths. I'm not. So they don't do that. Or they're like, oh, where's my hello, how are you? I'm like, really? I don't care how you are because all you're going to say is, I'm good, how are you? You're never going to say, oh, Tej, you know, my mechanic is never going to say, well, Tej, this happened. He's just going to say, I'm good, how are you? It's the most meaningless, pointless, fake conversation
but what
ever.
about with your friends and family?
Okay, yeah, but then I'll ask, like, specifically, how's your mum? How's that business you've, you know what I mean? Like, I'll say, hey, how's that, you know what I mean?
Something that means something.
Yeah, something that means, I'll never just say, or I'll be like, I'll sort of ask with an angle. Like, I saw you posted that thing. How are you okay, bro?
Yeah,
like, how's
I like
it going?
that.
Because I feel it's more meaningful. Because generally people are going to say, yeah, I'm okay, I'm good, whatever. So it gets me into trouble in daily conversation. However, I've learned to put a gap between stimuli and response in a way that before, you sent me that email. Fuck your mum. Send.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, give it 24 hours. I had an email yesterday from a client who's just being a knob. And like, I just want to say, just you're being a knob. Stop it. I wrote an email out. Left it there. You can't wait, bruv. This morning, looked at it, edited it, redo it. So for me, putting a gap between stimuli and response means that I get into way less trouble by being matter of fact because I think, and sometimes I'm fake. Hey, how are you? Don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it because you need to hear that, right? So, yeah, and it gets me into trouble and otherwise, and it may have cost relationships in the past and like business relationships because I was very direct and divine timing, innit? It was supposed to be, innit?
But now that you've made that change, is that change just for other people because you're like, oh, I just can't deal with the fuss? Or have you seen a benefit in your life of putting that space between your stimuli and reaction?
So both. So some of the conversational stuff I will do is literally for the benefit of the conversation and the person and whatever. I don't care. It's pure like, okay, needs to be done. Here we go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But actually, the second part is also true. That gap. Wow. Like totally modulated my responses, my relationships, my business relationships, you could even say my income's affected by it positively because I'm not being hot-headed and not saying, what I instantly think, which might be true.
Yeah.
But, you don't say that.
Yeah.
So the gap for me has done so many things in so many respects. And also I suppose it's got me out of trouble and jumping the gun too soon because then someone might send another message and then I'm like, oh, flip, if I responded to that would have been fun.
Wow.
So honestly, that's probably one of the biggest behavioral, hardest as well, changes that I've made that I would recommend for anyone. Because you know what we're like. We're in this generation. I can see when you're typing, the little dots come up. When you've sent it, it tells you. everything is instant.
Yeah.
And so we expect instant.
Instant.
And slowing that down and being more human about it and deliberate, big change.
I really like that, because like when you're in a heightened emotion and you say something, like you said, it might be true what you're saying, but you're saying it from a heightened emotion. You know how people say like, this thing is my second nature. What's your first nature? That space puts you back into the seat of your first nature to then say what you want to say, but your tone and your words and your language matter. And also you might be saying more things than you need to. So I definitely think like that's why sometimes people often say like, if something's happened and you want to talk to someone, sleep on it. That's where that saying comes from. Just like letting your emotions settle, so you're not acting from this like ego-based, fear-based, anger-based persona of yourself, but you're just responding from who you really are. You talk a lot about stoicism. Does that influence what we just spoke about?
Yeah, massively. I think, and that's also been a big change in what's changed me, is reading Stoicism, understanding the philosophy that was around, thousands of years ago, and we're still the same idiot humans that it applies to, which is kind of scary, because surely we should have evolved emotionally and behaviorally from that point to now, but we haven't. That's fine. A lot of that wisdom is totally applicable to today. I've got the Daily Stoic book. I read it every morning, most mornings, and it just kind of sets your mind to kind of perceive things and look at things in a kind of different way. Yeah. And there's a quote, I think it's from Cato, it's something along the lines of, I only speak when what I'm going to say is not better left unsaid. And again, with this email I was responding to, like I wrote some lines and deleted them, because I thought there is a point to that line and there is a point to me saying something, but then I think it's probably better left unsaid. Yeah. You know, like the minimal gain from that is not worth the impact it will have. And that comes from Stoicism. And also, you know, learning that our perceptions are everything. You know, you can say something to me and I take it one way, I take it another way. Say the exact same thing to someone else, they take it one way. It's, you know, it's hard. I know emotions are a crazy thing, but we can decide that perception.
Yeah. You
know, obviously it's based on our upbringing, our culture and all these things, but I can decide to be angry at you for saying that, or to be like, oh, she's just joking, or, you know, and when we control our perceptions, then we control the world around us, almost, right? And also, you know, the simple thing of like, can I control it? Yeah. Okay, let me control it. Can I not? Oh.
Then let it go.
Leave that there.
Yeah, because your experience of the world is through this body, through this mind. Yeah. Your perception of the world is through this. If you can't control your inner world, then your outer world will be complete chaos. You cannot control external factors. That's just a matter of fact. But if you spend time on your inner world, then you can see things as an opportunity. You can see things as like devastating and like the end of your world. It just really makes a huge difference in terms of your perception. And I wanted to ask you, so I haven't really looked into Stoicism yet. And for anyone else that also hasn't and is interested, can you tell me a little bit about what it is and some of its principles?
Yeah, so it's an ancient philosophy from the ancient Greeks and almost kind of ancient Romans, that kind of period. So we're talking, you know, wearing togas, walking around like this is proper back in the day. And the core principles are probably the ones I said, which is things are in our control, right? If we can't control them, we ignore them and we manage our own emotional reaction to that. If they are in our control, then we go about it and change it. A lot of people think Stoicism is like, because there's an English word now, I suppose, like being a stoic, which is being, you know, no emotion,
that's what
cold.
Comes to mind.
And it's not that. Like, you could argue that they were slightly stoic in that sense. But Stoicism is not about... So there's a saying in Stoicism, which is, you know, this is a modern version of it, but life's a roller coaster, and you know, you shouldn't go crazy when you win and you shouldn't go crazy when you lose things. And you shouldn't be so attached to people that if you lose them, it creates an issue. Those two are pretty cold kind of statements and make you think actually maybe they are being quite stoic in the modern sense. Yeah. But it's a way of thinking that I think is quite evolved. And therefore what it is saying is essentially that all we have is us, our minds, the freedom to choose if we have that, the freedom to be who we are, the freedom to perceive things how we are, and that's it. Everything else is the kind of world around us. So when you do something amazing, celebrate it. Yeah. But don't think you're the king. And when times are bad, don't think you're in hell with Lucifer and you're going to burn. And that, I love that. You know, kind of find a middle ground. And, you know, one of the principles is memento mori, which is Latin for remember death. Yeah. And they would always kind of say, remember death, because it should inform how you treat people and how you treat yourself and what you're doing with your life, because you will be dead one day.
Yeah.
And some people think the Stoics were like these poor on the street philosophers. Marcus Aurelius was a king, king of Rome. He was one of the richest men alive at the time.
Yeah.
But he was still walking around with the people, when they were diseased, and so I think it's misunderstood. And Ryan Holiday is an incredible author, loads and loads of books on Stoicism, probably about 6 or 7 by now. And he explains it in a really nice kind of modern way. And Stephen Bartlett, he doesn't reference it, but he follows Stoic principles and he talks about it. And in his book, it's literally modern Stoicism. I'm sure he knows it. So Stoicism is kind of in a lot of entrepreneurial places. People just don't realize where it comes from.
I think a lot of the principles that you've said are really synonymous with many of the principles in spirituality as well.
Yeah.
And even in religion as well.
In Buddhism, there's lots of it.
Yeah, in terms of don't over celebrate good times and don't get too attached to the low times. And even the awareness of death. I think these principles are all amazing. I've come across them and they're all simple. The thing is, simple. As humans, myself included, we overcomplicate life sometimes. Yeah. When times are hard, we really overcomplicate it. Why someone said something, why something happened, why should I do this? And sometimes we just need to bring it back to these simple principles and just focus on your own life. And just one thing that I've figured out is I always try and think about external factors and what I should do, where I should be going, what I should be doing. But really the secret, I feel, is just being yourself and doing the things that make you happy, just keeping it really, really simple. And if we were all just ourselves, I just feel like we would have a way better world, way more creative, way more playful. A lot more people would be happier because we're not comparing. There's so much comparison. Where we then spend the rest of our life, we look at someone and we try and make our life like theirs. And either you don't achieve it and you feel like a failure, or 2, you achieve it and you realize this wasn't even your own dream. So, I think I would like to look into Stoicism. I know that there's one book that you highly recommend. Which one is that? Is that by
I would
Ryan
say
Holiday?
Start with probably Ego is the Enemy and Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. I'd say those 2 are a good start, and then he's got lots more that you can delve into.
Okay. So I did want to ask you about your podcast. What led to you deciding to rebrand and pivot to self-development from property?
So property is boring, basically. Look, it's a great asset. It's a great asset. I love it. I'm super grateful for it. I'm financially free from it, blah, blah, blah. It is great, right? But I kind of talked about everything that could be talked about and kind of spoke to everyone in the industry that, I liked and rated. And I mean, there's a few people I missed, but I kind of did what I needed to do. And in classic, not focused style, I said, yeah, done with that. It's been 2 or 3 years. I need to move on to something that, 1, gives me more breadth in that I can kind of be that generalist and not have to be pigeonholed into property. 2, it lets me speak to people I'm interested in. I'd had enough of property. I'd learned what I needed to learn. Like, that was it. The chat could only go so far. Yeah. But as in this talk, we're all over the place talking about everything,
this
right?
Is like a Gemini's dream.
It literally is, right? And I wanted to do that. And then also I knew that property would only get me so far in growing a podcast. If I want to reach bigger masses, I want to make more money from it, I want it to be something bigger, it just wouldn't happen in property, not with my level of passion. I also have this thing, maybe you have it as well, where everything almost has an expiry date. I'm like, when I got into property, I was like, I'll probably be here 4 years, 3 years. Guess what? I was there 3.5 years, 4 years. Cool. When I was in recruitment, I was like, how long is this going to last? Now I'm doing M&A. I mean, it's a bit different because each business is so different. Yeah. But I know in 2 or 3 years, I'm going to expire from M&A and I'm going to do something else. It's just, it's that generalist thing. And so property expired. I'm still investing, still will, forever. It's a great asset. But there's just so much more to talk about. I'm so interested in so many things, and fitness and diet and science and mindset, so many different things I want to talk about. So I made the pivot and the numbers dropped, as it would, because the sort of property crowd were lost a bit, and then it's kind of picking back up again. Yeah, but at least you're in alignment with what you're doing, and I think that's what matters.
Yeah, like the people that you are picking up along the way, you're going to feel, it's quality, isn't it? They're in alignment with your truth and who you authentically are. Doing
what I want to do, which you said, right? We should all do what we want to do and be happy. And that's why I did it, because I was not happy with property anymore.
Yeah. So you said that property allowed you to be financially free.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you find yourself, are you chasing the numbers or are you following your passion?
Good question. And you know what? I was speaking to, I can't remember who it was. I think it was my friend Tunde, who I think you've met as well.
Met him, yeah.
Yeah, and we were kind of talking that once you reach the point of financial freedom, what I mean by that is bills, rent, petrol, basically everything covered, and you got a little bit left over as a minimum. Basically, you don't have to work again, right? Once you reach that level, and not everyone's going to reach it, not everyone wants to, you're almost reborn. Because before that, most humans are thinking, got to pay rent, got to do this, driving to London, congestion charge, ULEZ, parking, oh, I've got a parking ticket, 25. You're always just thinking about money and about, am I stable? And can I do this? Can I book that hotel? It's 5 stars, really nice, but it's 200 quid extra. Can I? Once you go past that point, you don't have those. Obviously, I'm not buying a new Ferrari every day, right? Like, I'm not silly. But you don't have these like really minute and kind of day-to-day mundane decisions or even thoughts, because you're like, we're good.
Yeah.
Like, my parking's like 13 quid for like an hour and a half. What? I just pressed it, whatever. And that's not like boasting, but it's just
freedom.
It's freedom.
Yeah.
And so it absolutely makes you reborn as a different person, and you can be more creative. You can help more people. You can follow your passions because you're good. Everything here is covered. Now let's live. And, you know, when you reach this point, it's amazing, honestly. And I didn't realize till like a year after, I was like, hold on a minute. I'm just moving different. I'm thinking different. I'm more freer. I'm not, you know, questioning decisions, because life is for living and I could die tomorrow. So let me book that 5-star hotel instead of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I have so much I want to ask you about this, but we have a few more questions before our time runs out. But related to this, I have to ask you, for someone who's listening to this and wants to be financially free and is not in this position yet, to leave their job, what advice would you give them to where to start to become financially free?
Okay, so save money. Don't be looking at every weekend on Ubers and clubs and all this silly shit. Yeah, have fun. I'm definitely find me in the club, and you.
Yeah.
Very, very rarely, but sometimes.
If they're playing reggaeton.
Well, last time we went, it was like, what was Wild? Remember that?
Yeah, it wasn't my music.
Afrobeats dancehall. It was great music.
Okay, Afrobeats.
It was great music. Just
it was good. I forgot.
So, like, don't be doing silly stuff. Save up to an extent. You know, in terms of when you quit your job, you're going to need some kind of a buffer. If you haven't, get some financial education, financial literacy, YouTube, Udemy,
so much
whatever.
available online.
So much available, Instagram, etc. And also, one of the key things now, a lot of people say, keep saving, buy that first house, launch that first business. Brother, on most people's salaries, you're going to be saving 6-7 years, you're going to buy a house. You're going to save another 6-7 years, you're going to buy another house. You're going to be dead and have 7 houses. What use is that? You need to learn to raise finance. Like, that's it. Because you and me sitting here right now, let's say we got 100 grand between us to buy a house. Maybe we buy 2 houses, then what?
Yeah.
We stop. But hold on a minute. Within our network, could we not raise $1 million in the next few days? Yes, we could. We could. I promise you.
Maybe we should run a challenge and show how it's done.
Maybe we should.
Okay.
But we can raise $1 million in a few days, right?
Yeah.
So what does that mean? We've got access to $1 million, but we've only got 100 grand between us, or 10 grand or $1,000. Okay. So people need to learn to raise money. How do we think these big players in the world do it? They're not there, get my salary every month and put a bit aside and put it in an ISA at 2%.
Yeah, it'll take so long.
You need to learn to raise finance. So the main quick tip is keep saving for yourself, budget, get financial literacy, get educated in your sector, property, trading, whatever it is. But you need to learn to raise finance. Such an important skill.
Okay, we had I had put out a message to the Instagram family to send me in any questions that they might have. It could be related to anything, any of the fields that both of you and I are in, whether it's spirituality, life, relationships, business. I had 2 questions back. So everyone listening to this, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please do share it with at least 2 people and send me a DM and ask me questions, because I love to hear from you and I want to help answer your questions, because the main purpose of me doing this is I just want to connect to people more and more deeply. So we need quick fire answers to this. We can both give answers.
I'm ready.
All right. So this question is opinions on investment property as a first purchase versus saving for your own home first. keeping in mind the view of Asian family expectations versus what you want.
Oh, I don't give a fuck about the Asian family expectations. Tell your family to... No, don't, because like roti and laundry being done for you is good. So balance it. I don't care about the expectations, neither should you. It's, pure financially in terms of making money, much better to buy an investment property, make rent off it, flip it, and then eventually use that to then pay your mortgage on your own residential.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, second question. This is more relationship based. How to completely heal from people that you had to let go of for the benefit of you and them?
I think you should answer that first, because I see something on your face that
just
that
like
speaks.
that, I feel that in my heart. I think if you've had to let go of someone, this is such a sad one. If you've had to let go of someone, it's kind of like mourning a loss, and there's various stages of grief. And one of the first things is having that clarity and acceptance that whatever that decision was the right decision, and knowing that you can still have love and care for someone and not have ownership. And that goes for anyone and everything, even your partner, your pets, your family, your kids. You never have ownership. You never own anything. When you're born, you come with nothing, and when you die, you'll leave with nothing. So I think that acceptance is something that's really important to help you in your journey of healing. And healing is very different to forgetting. You don't have to forget. All your memories and everything that you've gone through in life has shaped you to be who you are. So take time, acknowledge what you're going through, be kind to yourself. I think I would just leave it at that and not give too many instructions, because you have to tap into yourself and tap into how you feel, and not be toxically positive and just pretend everything's okay. You have to go through processes, and you can always give love even to someone that you don't like. You might have a very difficult family member, a difficult family member. You can always give love. Like, I truly believe from inside, you can just imagine that you're sending love to that person or those people or a nation. So I think, that would be my advice, and I hope that helps. How many minutes? Do we have a few minutes?
You got 3 minutes.
We got 3 minutes. Okay, we got 3 minutes. Should we do a few quick fire ones?
Do quick fire, because I have nothing to add to that. I have no empathy, so
right.
that was a very good answer from you.
We need to do another episode.
Oh, nice trainers, by the way.
Thank you. And I like your trainers too. They're so cool.
Thanks.
Are they in the thing? All right, quick ones. What would you do if you had infinite money?
Buy lots of Ferraris and Koenigsegg's.
Ask me one.
Name someone in your life you draw inspiration from.
Gurpreet Singh, charity founder in Punjab, Ludhiana, Earth Angel.
Hold tight, Gurpreet.
Something that really annoys you.
When people get me on a podcast and don't do any research on me.
Ted, I went on your LinkedIn.
No. And I'm joking. Things that really annoy me. When people don't do their fucking jobs, when people are incapable of doing things, it irritates me massively. Just do your job, please. Thank you. I'm trying to do mine. What would you do if you had infinite money?
If I had infinite money, I would assemble loads of teams, and I would send one team around the world, and they'd have to be heart-based, amazing, good humans, send them around the world to find out all the problems that are going on, like undercover, and slowly like distribute money towards them to fix problems, build a hospital where it needs to be, education where it needs to be. And like, I have ideas all the time. If I have an idea, I'd be like, assemble the team, and then we'd invent things, we'd make an app, we'd like experiment, have labs, and like really good labs, do really, really good things. I'd take all my family and all my people that I love on amazing holidays. I'd pay everyone's debts off. Yeah, that's it.
You have vision. Someone needs to give you... You need to win the lottery.
I need to assemble that team.
What's your favourite purchase?
Favourite purchase? My first ticket to travelling solo. Favourite purchase.
Hashtag Sandi, hashtag memes, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Last question. What? Oh no, that's a bit of a dark one. Worst purchase. Let's keep it light. Worst purchase.
Worst purchase. I don't buy stupid things. Bamboo cotton socks. Listen, I used to love bamboo cotton socks.
Yeah.
TK Maxx from Green. I'm going to call you out, and because...
What happened?
They're so comfy, they don't last more than 2 or 3 weeks. Every time they get holes in them. But like, it's like, oh, bamboo cotton's sustainable. Well, it's not if I'm chucking away every fucking week.
Yeah,
so
honestly,
bamboo cotton sucks.
Yeah, that's the difficult thing. I'll talk about this off screen, but Nike socks, they're usually quite good. Probably not sustainable.
I'm more of an Adidas guy.
That's the problem. Like the sustainable stuff, they need more research. They don't always work. What I was going to say to you is like natural deodorant, it doesn't work.
I didn't think it did.
But on that note, thank you so much for joining me, Tej. It has been such a pleasure. And I think we're going to have to do this again because I have so many more questions
I bet,
have to ask you. We're going to have to do a science episode.
100%, let's do it.
Thank you so much for your time and thank you for watching.
Thanks for having me.